So today is Sunday, October 12th, 2025. We continue with Platform Sutra, and we are at the end of the doubt, chapter of the doubt. Now we begin with the new one, which is the chapter of the Samadhi and wisdom. So last time, as we talked, we ended at the paragraph like this: the Pure Land and enlightenment are not distant goals, but present realities. When one turns inward and sees the mind as it is, the ordinary world becomes paradise. Practicing the Dharma here and now, without reliance on externals, is the essence of sudden enlightenment. And that was ended on October 5th, 2025. So, Samadhi, the chapter 5, Samadhi and Prajna as one, or Samadhi and wisdom. So Prajna and wisdom is the same. Well, you can say that it has carried, the Prajna carry a little bit different meaning. But usually people use wisdom to understand easily. So this section of this chapter is one of the three main parts of the Platform Sutra. The first and the most important is the chapter on Prajna, which is wisdom. And the second one is the one that we are going to talk about. And the chapter on Samadhi and Prajna, or Samadhi and wisdom. And then the third one is a chapter on meditation, or dhyana. These three chapters form the essential core of the Platform Sutra. So we begin with a few lines here. The master, now it is the translation. The master instructed the assembly, good, knowing advisors. This Dharma door of mind has concentration and wisdom as its foundation. Great assembly, do not be confused and say that concentration and wisdom are different. Concentration and wisdom are one substance, not two. Concentration is the substance of wisdom, and wisdom is the function of concentration. Where there is wisdom, concentration is in the wisdom. Where there is concentration, wisdom is in concentration. If you understand this principle, you understand the balanced study of concentration and wisdom. So this is the first, you could say, first paragraph of this chapter called Samadhi and Prajna, or concentration and wisdom. And first of all, we would talk about the essence and function of samadhi and prajna. Now we are using, sometimes we use samadhi and prajna, sometimes we use concentration and wisdom, interchangeable in this way. So what the sixth patriarch trying to say is that he said, the sixth patriarch, he said, Hui Neng addressed the assembly, saying that, good friends, in this Dharma gate of mine, samadhi and prajna are the foundation. Be careful not to be deluded into thinking that samadhi and prajna are separate. Samadhi and prajna are one and not two. Samadhi is the essence of prajna, and prajna is the function of samadhi. When wisdom functions, samadhi is present within it, or samadhi is present within it. When samadhi is present, wisdom functions within it. If you understand this principle, you are practicing samadhi and prajna equally. So that is to say that the sixth patriarch taught, my good friends, the Dharma gate I transmit takes meditation or samadhi and wisdom, or call it prajna, as its root. Do not be mistaken. Do not think samadhi is samadhi and prajna is prajna, as if they were two separate things. They are one in essence. When there is wisdom, samadhi is necessarily included within it. When there is samadhi, wisdom naturally functions within it. Why are they one? Because samadhi is the basis and background upon which wisdom rests. And wisdom is the active functioning of samadhi. They are like two sides of the same coin. If you truly understand and realize this truth, you are cultivating samadhi and prajna in equal measure. So what is the distinctive feature of this chapter's teaching on cultivation? So this chapter discusses the relationship between samadhi and prajna, showing how the six patriarchs' method of cultivation is rooted in both. It differs from the gradual, sequential methods of the Sravakayana tradition. Instead, it expresses the Mahayana view that samadhi and prajna interpenetrate as essence and function, which is a hallmark of Chan Buddhism. So the line samadhi is the essence of prajna. Prajna is a function of samadhi, comes from the Vimalakirti Sutra, expressing the doctrine of non-duality. So the meaning of samadhi means the mind abiding upon a single object. When one's mind rests continually on one single thought or object without wandering, this is called samadhi. There are no scattered or delusive thoughts, yet the mind remains fully clear and aware. And another thing is that samadhi can be shallow or deep. In shallow samadhi, one still perceives the passage of time. In deep samadhi, the sense of time disappears altogether. Whether deep or shallow, anyone who truly enters samadhi will feel that time passes very quickly. There are methods of cultivation of samadhis. One cannot enter samadhi without using a method. It must be learned and practiced. And the general method is called samatha vipassana, referring to calm and insight. The main emphasis in samadhi practice is samatha, calming the mind and stop delusive thoughts. And the most basic system is the 5 methods of stopping the mind, or 5 methods of calming the mind. 1, calm the breath, the first one. The second one is impurity contemplation. The third one is causal reflection. And the fourth one is compassion contemplation. And the fifth one, analysis of the elements. And at our system or at our monastery, beginners are taught counting the breath, as it is the most effective entry method. Many think that samadhi is easy, but in daily life, with emotional ups and downs and scattered thoughts, it is difficult to maintain. Even when practicing counting the breath, it takes time to stabilize the mind. If one cannot make progress in concentration, it is often because of heavy internal obstacles, namely habitual delusion, karmic tendencies, or external disturbances. In such cases, one should practice repentance and prostration to purify the mind. When the mind becomes calm, then one returns to counting the breath. When delusive thoughts are gradually purified, samadhi naturally arises. So that is the meaning of samadhi. Now we go to prajna, the meaning of it. First of all it is the wisdom of no self. So the term prajna here refers to mainly to the wisdom of no self. In the Diamond Sutra, the most important verse written on our monastery gate is, without abiding, the mind manifests. So you can say that, let the mind arise without abiding anyway. And this is called the non-abiding mind. Non-abiding means not clinging to the six sense objects: sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts. When the six sense faculties do not attach to the six sense objects, the functioning of the mind remains pure and free. And this mind that arises without attachment is called prajna. You may have question of why you have the six faculties, but they are not attached to the six sense objects. Well, you still have eyes, still have ears, still have nose, and you still have the mouth and the body. So if you are not attached to them, not attached at all, but what is functioning? The mind remains pure and free. And the attachment here that we have, it's we were born using our eyes to see, using our ear to hear, and using our mouth to talk, and so on. That exactly is what happens, that we are not free. So seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and so on. How do we do it? That makes the practice. And it means dealing with all phenomena and all matters without the self-centered attachments of what? Without the self-centered attachment of greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. Then that is wisdom. So some may think, isn't that very difficult? How can one face all people and situations without judging and handling them through one's ego? But if one truly practices Chan according to the teachings, earnestly applying the method taught by the master and following the principles of the sutras, one will naturally attain this state. One learns to face all people, events, and opinions objectively without inserting one's ego. So ordinary people usually begin with, what do I think of this situation? How should I act? That already places the I at the center. When responding with wisdom, one does not think, I feel, or I want. Instead, one asks, what does this person need in this situation? And when one's response arising from not from I, but from considering others, the self-attachment lessens. Even if traces of self remain, this approach is already more objective. At least one is not swept away by emotions of joy, anger, sorrow, or delight. As the master humorously adds, when I say I think you all have understood, is that wisdom? When I say I think you are all so slow, is that wisdom? True wisdom is not to project one's subject view onto others or onto the situation, but to respond according to the actual conditions before you. An example of, in America, many of my disciples are psychologists, and psychology professors. In England, about 80% of my students are in the same field. Since my disciples, there are psychology professors, their colleagues and students are mostly psychologists or psychiatrists. So if the teachers ask, from the standpoint of psychology, when treating patients, are you objective or subjective? They reply, we should be objective. And our teacher asked again, can you really be objective? They said, if we could truly be objective, we won't need to learn chant from you. Because when they see a patient's condition, they often project their own self into it. Thus, many psychologists themselves become psychological patients. After seeing too many mental cases, they end up sharing the same illness. Is that wisdom? So this example of, well, actually, this example is given by our teacher. That's what he said. And at the end, he was asking, is that wisdom? So we give this summary. First of all, is samadhi and prajna are not two. Samadhi provides the still, stable basis. Prajna is the clear, active functioning. When the mind is still, wisdom shines. When wisdom functions, stillness is never lost. To understand and live this unity is to realize samadhi and prajna as one. The wisdom of no self, also called emptiness wisdom, The wisdom spoken of in Buddhism is the wisdom of no self. It is called emptiness wisdom, or we use the Sanskrit say sunyata prajna. If even the slightest trace of self-centeredness or ego is mixed within it, then that is not true wisdom. Further on, talking about Master Huineng's interpretation of samadhi and prajna. How does the sixth patriarch Huineng, using the perspective of the Diamond Sutra, explain the relationship between samadhi and prajna in the Platform Sutra? So we can understand it from his words, saying, "Good friends, do not be deluded in thinking that samadhi and prajna are separate. Samadhi and prajna are one, not two. Samadhi is the essence of prajna, and prajna is the function of samadhi. When wisdom functions, samadhi is present within it. When samadhi is present, wisdom functions within it." So the Sravakayana approach to meditation, first of all, is step-by-step method. According to the classic scriptures, samadhi is samadhi and prajna is prajna. They are cultivated in sequence. This sequential cultivation is summarized as the three studies of liberation. One is sila, which is precepts, samadhi, which is called concentration, and prajna, which is wisdom. One must first uphold three precepts. Only then can one develop pure concentration. Without maintaining pure conduct, one may still attain concentration, but that could become demonic concentration. If one enters demonic concentration, true wisdom cannot arise. Only by maintaining pure precepts can one attain pure concentration. Only through pure concentration can one give rise to pure and undefiled wisdom. Otherwise, what arises is false wisdom or mad, insane wisdom. So, what is this mad wisdom? It may look brilliant and sound intelligent, even eloquent and persuasive. Most of what is said might appear virtuous and correct. Yet, when reaching the key point, one phrase can suddenly turn everything off course. The audience cannot discern whether it is right or wrong, because the overall argument seems impeccable. But the central idea is subtly twisted, and that deviation leads directly into a demonic path. Such cases have appeared throughout history. Many religions have fallen into fanaticism. extremism, and even tragedy due to this kind of deviation. In modern society, due to public opinion and legal restraint, such extreme outcomes are rarer. However, ideological misguidance still occurs, causing the degradation and corruption of human mind. Now let's take a look at the Master Huineng's Chan approach. A is a sudden approach from the perspective of the Platform Sutra. That is from the sudden enlightenment approach. Samadhi and prajna are one and the same phenomenon, inseparable. So previously, we discussed method of entering samadhi, such as the 5 methods of stilling the mind, which are gradual practices. But in Chan Buddhism, such step-by-step cultivation is not emphasized. Instead, awakening can occur suddenly. For example, the 6th patriarch Huineng attained enlightenment upon hearing 2 verses from the Diamond Sutra. That is to say, without abiding, the mind manifests, or let the mind arise without abiding anyway. He awakened immediately without ever practicing the 5 methods or counting the breath. So all of you studying counting the breath in our meditation class, that is not the sudden path of enlightenment. It is preliminary training. You have already entered through the monastery gate and seen those 2 verses inscribed there, which is on the wall, yet you have not awakened. Therefore, you must take the gradual approach. If you have seen those words and awakened instantly, you won't need to attend the beginner's course. You could join the advanced class or even become one of our teachers. But people like the 6th patriarch are exceedingly rare nowadays. Since you are not Master Huineng, then take it step by step. For Master Huineng, awakening arose directly through wisdom. The very moment wisdom was suddenly revealed, he was already in samadhi. For the 2 are identical in function. So why do we display those 2 verses at the monastery gate? Many people think they are just a slogan, but in fact, they are a threshold, a test gate. If upon seeing those lines you immediately awaken, you need not enter. You won't need to study counting the breath or listen to lectures on the Platform Sutra. But if you enter and still need and still did not awaken, that means you are of slow faculties. Therefore, practice patiently and train the mind step by step. What does Master Huineng mean by meditative concentration? Well, first of all, is mind without abiding. is samadhi. From Master Huineng's standpoint, the sudden enlightened viewpoint of Chan, samadhi does not mean sitting motionless or stopping all mental activities. True samadhi means a mind that does not abide anywhere. A mind free from self-centered attachment, that is samadhi. When the mind is not influenced by external conditions, when the mind does not follow the environment, that is samadhi. But if the mind changes along with external circumstances, then the self is still active. And wherever there is self, one is affected by the outside world. If the self disappears within, then whatever happens externally, praise or insult, beating or blessing, has no effect on you. If the outer world still affects you, then the self is clearly still there. Therefore, non-abiding here is true samadhi, or without abiding. So in short, you can say that samadhi means the mind does not follow conditions. Give an example. Sound as the thorn of samadhi. Once there was a Chan retreat. So our teacher on the first evening said that sound is the thorn of samadhi. When entering samadhi, any sound pierces it like a thorn, disturbing concentration and preventing absorption. And then one day, one student raised his hand. Master, yesterday you said sound is the thorn of samadhi. When I was entering samadhi, the neighbor was hammering the wall. The sound was so loud, it pierced my concentration. And then our teacher asked, if you were in samadhi, would you still hear the sound? If you heard it, can you say you are in samadhi? And the student replied, my mind was still, but when they hit the wall, my mind moved. And then our teacher said, then that is not real practice. Your mind follows condition. How can that be samadhi? If your mind moves with every sound, you are like grass bending with the wind. That is not samadhi. And then that night he protested. He protested again. My mind did not move. I was in samadhi, but when the wall struck, I came out of it. And our teacher said, what we call samadhi is not what you call samadhi. According to the Platform Sutra, samadhi and prajna are equal and one. When you truly have both, when samadhi and prajna are simultaneous, no external condition can disturb you. Haven't you heard the saying, at the crossroads, one can still practice Chan? So All of you listen to the platform Sutra today. I hope you can remember just one principle. Train the mind not to follow condition. That is samadhi. Do not imitate the old monk entering samadhi, hiding away in the mountains or in a cave, thinking that is true meditation. Even if your body is hidden in a cave, if your mind is full of delusive thoughts, what kind of samadhi is that? Or perhaps when you are secluded, you feel peaceful because out of sight, out of mind. But the moment you leave the cave, a bird droppings on your head and you curse, damn bird. Instantly, you have lost your samadhi. Thus, Chan's understanding of samadhi differs from the gradual path. The sequential method I mentioned earlier teaches concentration step by step, but the Chan understanding of samadhi is samadhi and wisdom are simultaneous. Then, that is when the mind does not follow condition. That is samadhi. Why can the mind remain unmoved? Because one realizes there is no reason to give rise to I and its afflictions. When afflictions do not arise, that is wisdom. And since wisdom and samadhi are inseparate, that is also samadhi. So, do you understand what mind follow condition means? And what mind does not follow conditions means? Well, then if you do, that's very good. Then you understand samadhi and prajna are one. So we will stop here for the moment.
Bảo,